Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to show you how to make chorizo and pepper jack mac and cheese. Think traditional mac and cheese, kicked up a couple notches with like a really spicy attitude, if that makes any sense. Now, I haven't done many mac and cheese variations. I've done a classic mac and cheese that I, here a long time ago. So I figured it is time to start playing around with the good old mac and cheese. The ingredients you'll need for the specific one are very few and simple. You'll need some whole milk. I've got some shredded pepper jack cheese. I've got some Spanish style chorizo that I've chopped into like half moon. I also have some butter, unsalted. I've got some flour. I've got granulated garlic, onion, and paprika. I've got some additional butter here, and I've got some breadcrumbs, salt and pepper. You'll need pasta of your choice. I really like these little corkscrew pasta. It's got ridges on it, which means the sauce adheres to it really, really well. And I've got some parmesan, a little bit of nutmeg, and that's pretty much it. So the first thing you want to do is get your oven preheated to like 400. I want to get it nice and hot. And now we're going to get started on making the sauce first and kind of getting that out of the way. And I also have a big pot with water back there waiting to come to a boil for my pasta. But for now, let's get started on the roux. I'm going to take my butter and I'm going to put that in my saucepan over about medium heat, and I'm going to wait for my butter to melt completely. I'm going to just add my flour, and I'm going to cook this mixture for about a minute or so, because what you want is to cook out any of that raw flour taste, and that way your roux and your cream sauce, your bechamel, won't taste like glue, like flour, you know what I mean? It's actually a really important step that I think a lot of people skip. Just add the flour, stir it in, and then add the liquid. It just gives your sauce that sort of, I don't know, it's like a pasty taste. So letting it cook for like a minute really, really fixes things and makes it taste the way it should, which is buttery and creamy and cheesy and delightful. So I'm just gonna let that go for about 30 more seconds, and we'll be ready to add our milk. I'm gonna add my milk. And I'm just going to stir it all in. And you can see there's no lumps because we cooked that out of the flour and the butter. And now I'm going to add in my granulated garlic, onion, and paprika. It's going to give it not only really good flavor, but really good color as well. Stir that in, and I'm going to grate in some nutmeg. I always like to add a touch of nutmeg to my cream sauce, even though you won't taste it. But it is so traditional in bechamel that I kind of feel like you got to do it. So I'm just going to add just a little bit of that in there. You don't want to add too much because then it'll make your sauce taste like pumpkin pie, and that defeats the purpose of this. Season it with salt and pepper. Traditionally, you season it with white pepper, but as you all know, I'm quite the rebel, so I'm going in black pepper, which is what I prefer, and then some salt. And now all you're going to do is cook this on like medium-low until it gets nice and thick, and it coats the back of a spoon, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's there. This looks beautiful. You can see it's gotten really nice and thick in the back of the spoon. It coats it perfectly, so when I run my fingers down, it stays separated, and that's how you know you've got a good cream sauce. Now we're going to add in the shredded pepper jack. The shredded pepper jack, you can really use any cheese you like, but for this recipe, I just like the spiciness of the pepper jack. It's really creamy, and I just really prefer it. So I'm just going to stir that in. At this point, this is nice and thick, but don't worry, because that's how you want it. And if it's not melted all the way, in fact, I'm going to turn this off now and let it sit. It's going to go in the oven. So who cares? It's going to melt anyway. So leave this back here for now. The pasta is in the boiling water. That's doing its job. I mean, look at that. It's easy. Now, in this skillet, I'm going to take my skillet and turn that up to high. While that's coming to temperature, I just want to grate some of the parmigiano in the sauce because that's crucial for me. I want that skillet to get nice and hot because we are going to crisp up some chorizo, and it is going to be fantastic. So I'm going to stir my parmigiano right in. Oh, that sauce is luscious and gorgeous. If you look real close, you can see that the cheese is melting beautifully. You can see it's starting to like pull. Oh yeah. All right. The skillet's coming to temperature. I've got my little casserole dish, my baking dish here that's been buttered because you want that to be butter so nothing sticks. And here, I'm actually just going to add my chorizo in now. And all I'm going to do is keep my eye on this and give it a stir and let it crisp up, render its fat. That way we can remove it. And then we're going to pull the whole thing all together. My chorizo is really nice and crispy, but you can see that it has rendered a lot of fat, which I don't want. So I'm kind of tilting the pan over my pot with my cooked pasta that I just drained. I want to make sure that your water is nice and salted too, by the way. I'm going to put my chorizo in there. Now, I should not be telling you this, but I'm gonna. If you got a couple of potatoes cooked up already and you want to make yourself some cake, potatoes, fry them in some of this fat. I'm just saying. I'm not gonna encourage it, but I am. Do what you want with it. I'm gonna pour my cheese sauce right in, and look at it. Look at that. And you can see just by the color that those spices are definitely gonna lend some good flavor. Now you got me thinking about potatoes and chorizo and some, maybe like an egg on top of there or something. I just get over myself too much. All right, mix it all together. You can see as I'm mixing it, the cheese is like pulling, and it's stringy, and it's creamy, and it's delightful. Cook your pasta a couple minutes short because this is gonna go into the oven, and you don't want soggy pasta. You want it really nice and al dente to hold its shape really well. And now I'm just going to, you know what, let me grab the spoon right here to help me out a little bit because the pot is currently a little bit too heavy for me. So it's just gonna get everything out of here. And look at it. You could eat it exactly like this. Make sure your pasta's cooked all the way though if you were to do that. But when you top this with breadcrumbs and you dot it with butter and an extra sprinkle of Parmigiano, just trust me when I tell you it's absolutely well worth the extra step. That looks amazing. And now I'm just going to take some of the breadcrumbs. You can use fresh breadcrumbs if you wanted to. You could use panko if you wanted to. It's completely up to you. But I'm just going to use good old breadcrumbs because that's just what I got and that's what I prefer. I'm going to just do a layer of that, and then I'm going to cover the whole surface with Parmigiano because I can. So you just give it a really generous sprinkle of that. And then I'm going to dot it with butter to get it, that top really nice and golden brown and crispy and get it bubbling. And that is just going to be perfection. So I'm just going to dot that all over the top. And then I'm going to pop this into the oven for around, I'd say maybe 15-20 minutes or so, or until it's the timer went off, which means another recipe is almost done to share with you on a future episode. But for now, I'm going to pop this into the oven for 15 to 20 minutes or until beautiful golden brown. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. My mac and cheese was in the oven for around 20 minutes, and I have let it cool for about 5 minutes because it was like bubbling up. And as you know, I'm going to just go right into this and I'm going to do some serious damage to my mouth if I didn't let it cool. So I'm just going to stir myself up a little bit. I just can't. I just can't. It's so delightful and gorgeous, and that crispy crust and that chorizo. My mouth is salivating. Oh, hold on. This is hot though, so give me a second. Hands down the best mac and cheese you'll ever have. I'll retire if you don't think so. I'll just give up. That's going to be a hard one to top. Go to laurainthekitchen.com if you want to get this recipe. It's creamy, it's spicy, it's crunchy on top. It has it all. I hope you've enjoyed spending time with me, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. I'm mesmerized by the way that looks because you can see the piece of crust right there. Do you see it? I'm talking to you, Joseph. I'm being serious. Stop! It's ridiculous.